Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of Decentralized Chain, the place where you get the greatest and best news when it comes to Saito. And who else other than our co-founder, Richard Parris, the one and only. Welcome back to the show. We have hunted Richard down from the great states of the US all the way back to Australia. Richard, welcome. Great to have you here.
It's great to be back. Yeah, it's always good to talk. So.
Right. Well, let's feed the masses, I say. Let's feed the masses with some updates. So let's jump straight into it, Richard.
Incredible alpha.
Yeah, no, exactly. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon so you hear the latest Saito news before anybody else right here with Richard. So jumping straight in, Richard, let's talk about user interface, tooling, testing. I'm hearing that there is some rebalancing of internal teams. What is happening?
Yeah, so I think people are aware we've recently kind of reached that big milestone and sort of we've moved to token persistence on the network, meaning we're guaranteeing balances over a certain size on the network, and that's part of moving to sort of the next stage of the roadmap. And a big part of that now is getting the tooling there for people to work around token transfers and all those sorts of things. And of course, you can't have any glitches or anything like that when it comes to those important pieces of the ecosystem. So that's kind of been the focus of the team on the kind of UI side, etc. And then, of course, with the underlying chain needing, sort of being robust, but also having more weight put on it as such, more importance, we're kind of shifting our focus a little bit to getting the team more focused on those core things. And that also includes making ready for, developers and other people to come and start working with us on building their own things, cleaning up the workshop and making sure the tools are all labeled and in the right place so that people can come in and get going.
You mentioned token persistence earlier on, so I'm hearing whispers of updates to the tokenomics. What can you share around that? Because that's always an interesting topic.
Well, I think it's more an update on tokenomics. For us, it's more about where we're at. We're not changing anything as such. So it's more about with token persistence in place, a lot of people are interested in the tokenomics in detail of the next phase of where we're at. And that includes things like, we've always talked about the idea of having an advertising faucet. I think, kind of harking back to the early Bitcoin days with a token faucet as a way to get people using the system, using software on the network. But there's really important questions around that. Simple one: if you make it too easy, then you flood tokens in and you obviously degrade value and you undermine the system. If you don't have enough, it doesn't do anything to stimulate people, right? If it's too hard to get tokens, then people aren't going to use a system where they can't tweet or make a call or whatever if they have to wait for tokens. And so we understand that it's a combination of the economics of the environment and the actual user interface, the experience people have. So we'll be talking a bit about that, but then also, as we get the pieces in place to have people having native tokens on chain. Now that we've got the persistence, why would they want to do that? What can they do when they're there? When staking comes online and what kind of rewards that would provide, within the system. So the tokenomics update's really about those kinds of things. It's not saying, we've changed the tokenomics. It's more like, we're onto this next phase and we're starting to get close enough on the horizon to be able to give more information about how we're going to roll those things out step by step.
I mean, it is one of those age-old questions I've seen a lot, over the past is, people have tokens, they want to do something with the tokens. Naturally people want to try and see some sort of reward in being a holder of tokens. So, staking, I think, certainly is something that, communities look forward to. At the end of the day, everybody wants more. I'd want more. So.
Well, and of course you'd want more Saito.
Exactly.
No, absolutely. So I mean, the thing is that at the moment, obviously the ERC20 and BSC ecosystems are much richer in things like DEXs and trading tools, etc. So what we want to be thinking about, what's the balance? Why would people want native tokens, and what's in it for them? And so the real tip there is have an eye towards these upcoming updates, where we'll be talking about that in more detail and more clearly. So that'll give people an idea of like the whens and hows you'd want to do that and why. Obviously, we want to do everything we can to make sure that long-term holders who've gone to native tokens see real value in
Yeah.
doing that. But we just have to iron out sort of more details and provide clarity as we can as things sort of come into focus.
I mean, we're still not in the bull market yet. So as you can see across the board, things are a bit quiet. So I'm curious how Saito kind of really, invigorating some of that. How are we getting the message out there? How are we, really exciting people up at this point?
Well, I think one of the things is, they always say like marketing in a bear market or outreach in a bear market is more about being ready for the bull, because you have it's like get the ship ready for when the wind comes. And so we're still committed to a lot of our fundamentals outreach, where we released a paper, technical proof recently on the civil proof nature of Saito, which was really answering questions in the academic community that we'd been having raised. And it's really hooked to people to say, come and look at what we're doing. It's serious. And those sorts of things, along with building community and improving on our channels, our outreach methods, fine-tuning the messaging, that's all really there to set the scene, get the sails tight and the team ready for when the winds, as the winds start blowing, to be there. There's really, there's not a lot of point in crying from the rooftops into an empty field.
Yeah, of course.
Which is really how it kind of feels at the moment. The great thing for us is with the strength of the Saito community, etc. It's still, it's never a lonely place. There's still a lot of activity. There's a lot of things going on in the community, and there's a lot of vibrancy. It's just, people can kind of feel that crazy excitement of a rush time is not on us at the moment.
That's pretty much across the board anyway, which is fine. And I've always had the opinion that bear markets, whatever you want to call it, it's there for building. It's there for, like you said, getting ready. So when the time comes, we're full steam ahead. I mean, look, today we're talking on Saito video tech at the end of the day, and I use it all the time. I think it's great, proper, really clear transmission's great, no glitches, no nothing. So proof is in the pudding. I mean, we're building here, and we're sort of moving forward.
Well, I think it's another space where, I mean, it's actually, in the end, good for projects like us who are serious about what we're doing and who are building, diligently.
Yeah.
We've kind of managed our team and our finances over the last couple of years so that we're still around, we're still kicking, we've still got our roadmap in front of us, and we've got the runway to do it. And I think that actually, over time is winning out, I think, because people can see not a lot of projects make it, more than one cycle.
No, exactly. And I think that's a really important thing to note, is what you mentioned was runway, because you're right. Not a lot of projects have runway left. A lot may have raised during the last bull cycle, but how many actually have runway? How many have been diligent enough to preserve that runway in order to build during the down times of the market, in order to prepare for when we're up ready for the next cycle, really?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of not to bang on about something we raise regularly, but we had discussions with what at the time was a number 2, probably number 3 exchange about listing. Had we gone with that deal, they're almost irrelevant now, and we would have half or less of the runway that we do now, given what they would have cost in excluding damage they could have done by dumping tokens they wanted onto the market, etc. Which was in the end the sticking point for us, is we don't want them dumping on our holders, so
no, exactly.
We're not going to hand them millions of dollars worth of tokens. So yeah, it's interesting, like seeing those sorts of things play out. It's sometimes not the sexiest thing to say that it's a patient long game, but I think people can see the strength in the way we've been doing things recently, and there's a lot of exciting stuff going on. I mean, we forget stuff like video call and how cool it is. We've got third-party crypto coming to games, coming along. You can kind of play with TRX if you're really brave at the moment. But that fuller and more complete support for that sort of stuff is in the tubes, and that's really exciting. Things that you don't see in a lot of projects, sort of with the team size that we have, and the kind of exposure that we have. So yeah, feeling very positive and enjoying the ride at the moment.
Well, I mean, just going back to video call, just because I love it so much. But there are other projects that I talk to within this space, and on purpose, when I do my conversations with them or when I have interviews with them, I send them. I say, "Here you go. You can go right in there. What's this?" I said, "You haven't heard of Saito? Where have you been? You've been hiding under a rock. I mean, look at this." And they're like, "Oh wow, this is pretty cool." And then all of a sudden, I know there are other projects using a video call from Saito to do video calls amongst their own.
I had a friend tell me that he insisted on a job interview happening on Saito video call.
There you go. See, there's just, I mean, it's the word is spreading. The word is spreading more than anything else.
Well, I think it's about putting things in people's hands they can use.
Exactly. So, Richard, again, thank you for our short, brief update, but always packed with lots of information. Any last words for our viewers before we sign off?
Just to remind them to keep an eye on our channels and stuff to see the news as things roll out over the next couple of months. There's some very exciting things happening.
And what Richard also meant to say was make sure you smash that like button, follow, and that bell notification icon so you don't miss any of Richard's updates. Richard needs to get better at this.
This is why you have the pro mic and I've got
well, Richard, as always, I appreciate you coming on the show. Look forward to our next monthly catch up. Until then, see you on the next one.